So we should be live now. Hope everybody can see my screen. Hope everybody on YouTube is able to see what we're seeing as well. So glad to have everybody. But welcome again to another webinar from AppSheetTraining.com, powered by CrewTech. I'm your host today, Clark James. I'm also joined with a man who needs no introduction, Mr. CJ Pye will be our presenter today, going over something really fun, some dynamic dashboards. So if you have little to no experience with that, I promise today is going to be a good one. Welcome in, Pam. Should be joining in. So here's some slides for today's demo of dynamic dashboards. These aren't the data that we're going to be using. This is actually just a demo app that I was playing around with, just for my own personal reasons. Obviously, I don't work at McDonald's or Burger King, as well as these are some columns that will be needed in our users table in order to create said dashboards. And I did create a coupon code for AppSheetTraining.com today. This should be good for about a week for those of you who are watching on YouTube. But it's 15% off things on AppSheetTraining.com. Doesn't have to be UX, but that is what we're going to be going over some things today. And some of our main concepts today are going to be filtering data using the users table, which is, like I said, these columns here. They probably don't make a lot of sense now, but they will. Changing relevant data based on user input, and then also creating an app launcher layout. This is going to be very, very useful for having basically a home page. Think about on your phone, you have your home page, and being able to click not only different apps, but you can also create custom views to URL pages or certain contacts and stuff. CJ, if you're there, we are going to go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and let you share your screen so you can start the demo. For everybody here today,
Perfect.
We will be doing a Scratch app. So completely from scratch, besides some columns. He's going to explain all that. So go ahead, Siege.
Yeah, absolutely. Super glad to be here. Hope everyone's doing well today. My name's CJ. I'm one of the senior consultants here at CrewTech. And yeah, happy to be talking about some dashboards and some UX stuff today. I'm trying to share my screen, but it says, oh, I don't think I'm a host, Clark, is why I can't share my screen. Okay, there we go. Give me just 1 second and I will have it up. All right, can everyone see this Google Sheet okay? Get a thumbs up. All right, thank you, Jake and Pat, for that thumbs up. So yeah, like Clark said, the topic of today is just some dashboards where you can kind of dynamically filter your data based on user input. So that's what we're going to be building towards. And I kind of picked this as the main topic because I pretty much use this type of view in every app that I build now. It just can be useful for almost anybody in any use case, no matter what you're doing, what you're working with. It's just super flexible and helpful. So I want to go over something that was helpful. And so that's kind of why we picked it. And so I've just kind of started building out this demo Google Sheet here, which is what we'll base the app off of, and kind of the context that I'm going for is an app that tracks sales accounts. So an app that would be used by sales reps and to track the accounts that belong to them. Just very vague, but in brief context. So that's why this is called accounts. This is going to be the clientele that this company is working for. And then we're going to have a users table and then an app launcher table, which is going to be a UX piece that I also use a bunch. And I'll kind of explain what that is when I get there. But for now, I'm just going to fill in this dummy data so that we can have data to filter in the app. And And for that, I'm going to use this tool called Makaru. And it allows you to download just dummy data. It's a really awesome tool. So I've already kind of set up the data that I'll need to fill in my accounts table. But if you've never used it, you should check it out. It's really cool. There's all sorts of different types of data you can pick from. I'm going to be having dates, currency, email addresses, street addresses, all that good stuff. And then I've set it to download 100 rows in an Excel format. So I'm going to hit the download data button and save that bad boy, and then I'll just copy it into my Google Sheet. Also, if you have questions as we go, feel free to just jump in and interrupt me and let me know what you're thinking. I have a question. I want this to be
There you are.
Sorry about that. Apparently, I was lagging there for a second. But I downloaded that Excel sheet, and I'm opening it up on my other monitor right now. And so this is what it looks like. Very not super pretty, but it gets the job done. So I'm just going to do some copy and paste here.
Watch that first row.
What's up?
Your first row is name.
I got you. Bear with me here. My computer is being a little bit slow because I've probably got too many tabs open. Perfect. And we need an ID column. It's very important. And then it looks like I inserted an extra column on accident. All right, that will work. Got some dummy numbers in here, and then this is going to be actually true false all the way down. So I'm just going to split it 50-50. And then this account rep is going to be my reference column to the users table. So if you imagine that me, Clark, and Stefan are the sales reps in this scenario. So I'm going to just take our emails and paste them in here. That is not at all what I wanted. There we go. And then I believe if I just do this, it will, iterate for me. All right. And just like that, I've kind of got this sheet set up with data that somewhat makes sense, but isn't anyone's personal information. And so, again, super helpful tool, especially if you do anything where you need data to kind of visualize what you're trying to build, or you're presenting to someone else and you don't want to share actual data that belongs to a company. So I'm just going to double check that I have these other sheets set up for now. And it looks like the only one I'm missing is the app launcher. And so I wanted to kind of just write this in from scratch. And so this table is actually going to hold just each row is just going to be a link to the different views in my app. I don't know if any of you guys have used this kind of UI layout before, but this is essentially going to be my home page. And from this one home page, I'm going to link out to all my other views. And I'll show you how to do that in the app. But to set it up, I just need the actual name of the view that I'll use in the link action. So that'll be the first one. And then I want a display name in case I want to change what it says to the users. And then third thing that I need, sometimes you want to filter by what screen it's on. We probably won't use that today, but if you have multiple screens, you can filter it by this. And an icon, that would probably be helpful. And so here we'll store our icons. But okay, I think that is good enough to go ahead and spin up an AppSheet app. So I'm going to go to my AppSheet homepage, hit make a new app, and then start with my own data. We will call it Dynamic Dashboards Demo. Yeah, that'll work. Choose my data. And then I just got to go find that little sheet that I just spun up, which is this guy right here. Perfect. Now we're in the oh so familiar AppSheet editor, and it's already made me some views and stuff that I'm probably just going to delete. And it looks like it loaded in our account sheet already for us. So I'm just going to go ahead and supplement that with our other tables. And I'll go ahead and add this other one in here just in case we get to talking about it. All right, perfect. We've got, so each of our tables are now loaded into the app. And the first thing that I like to do whenever I'm building out an app, kind of the first thing that I do is format my column structure. And so I'm just going to go in here and assign any references that need to be there, make sure the data types are correct. So this account rep column is going to be a ref to our users table because those are the reps. So we're just going to set that up by making it a ref type and choosing the users table as the source. And I'm just going to scroll through and make sure everything else looks okay. It's a date. Is that a date or a date time that we loaded in here? Okay, it looks like just a date. Perfect. And then that's a yes, no. And it already made some related transactions for us from this guy. So that one looks good. Email is the key, which is what I want. I'm going to make this a text. Actually, this is going to be a date. And then our app launcher looks good as well. So for the most part, our column type should be good to go. Just wanted to double check that. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up the different views that we'll need. And so I'm going to come into my UX. I've already got, it looks like a card view going here for my accounts data, which is fine, honestly. So I can leave this. I might just give it a different icon here. Let's see, building maybe. That'll work. Looks much better already. I'm going to go ahead and delete this map view because we don't need it. So as you might know, a dashboard view is just a collection of other views. And so I'm going to go ahead and create the dashboard view, and then I'll create the individual views that are going to be a part of it. So we'll call this just dashboard, maybe account dashboard. And then we will make it a dashboard view. We'll go ahead and put our accounts view in there. And then the other kind of main view that's important in the setup is going to be the filter. And so when we say dynamic dashboard, what we really mean is a dashboard view with one view that is a slice of the users table, and I'll explain why users table in a second. But a slice of the users table, and that acts as your filter. And so the fields in the users table are the fields that the user actually updates. And then based on those updates that the user makes, it filters out something like this deck view below it, according to what is in the filters. And so that's the basic idea, and it allows you to kind of see subsets of these accounts in this case that you can change at will. And so the version we're building out is a pretty simple version, but I'll try to explain at the end how it can be expanded, and you can do a lot with it. But that's the basic idea. And so the next thing that I'll need to kind of finish my dashboard is a slice of the users table. And so if you'll go with me back to the sheet, you'll notice I have these 4 kind of columns here at the end in my sheet that don't actually really have anything to do with my user info. And the reason why I have them here on the users table is to prevent kind of the issue of overriding. So I've seen some people do this same kind of dynamic dashboard setup where they have a completely separate table with just one row in it, and they use that as the filter. But what happens is if you have multiple users using that view at the same time, then when one changes their filter, they're actually overriding what someone else just put in there because they're all editing the same row in the data. And so we put it on the users table so that every user actually has their own row to set their own filter for. And so me, Clark, and Stefan can all be changing our own filter in our app, and we're actually changing our own row, and we're not overriding someone else's. So that's why it goes on the users table, and why I'm going to make this a slice of the users table with just those columns in it, because I don't actually care about the columns on the left for this particular instance. So I'm going to make my slice, and I'm going to call it dashboard filter. It's going to slice the users table. And then I'm going to give it a custom column structure. And like I said, I'm going to delete out everything that isn't one of my filters. So the only thing that will show is those 4 filter columns. And then this part is also really important. The filter for this slice, I'm going to filter it down to the current logged in user. So again, I need to tell AppSheet, hey, I'm CJ, only edit CJ's filter row, not Clark's. And so I'm going to use the user email expression to equal the email in the users table, so that the only row that this slice will actually have in it is the users row where my email is, because I'm the person that's currently logged in. So that's going to be the filter slice. And then I'm going to make a detail view based on that slice. And each of the filter columns is going to be a quick edit. So this is what will allow me to put this detail view in the dashboard above my card view of all my accounts. And then each filter is a quick edit in that detail view. And I can just update the filter conditions right there in that detail view. And then my accounts will dynamically filter in and out based on that. And so I will also call this dashboard filter. and it will be on my dashboard filter slice. It will be a detail view, make it a ref. And then I need to do my quick edits. And so I sliced it out, so it kind of already knows that these are the columns that I need. And you see them pop up right here. So we'll go ahead and save these changes. And then we'll stick that detail view in our account dashboard. And we'll make it the first one. Dashboard filter. So now you kind of see the layout start to come together, where you have your filter on top, and then the rows that you're filtering underneath, or if we pop it out into full screen, it could be left and right, whatever kind of makes more sense for the setup that you're doing. So it looks like I've got some work to do in my users table to set up my filters correctly, because currently they're just text, and that's kind of not ideal. I want them to be kind of selectable drop downs, and then I need to hide this. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The quickest way to do this is going to be, I'm actually just going to make these refs to the other tables, because that's going to generate a drop down list for me. I could also use the valid if to create a drop down list without making it a ref type, but either way works. Sometimes there are complications that push you one way or the other. See the rep filter, that's actually going to be a ref to the users table, so that we can select from our users list. As contact filter, it just needs to be a date picker, which it is. An active filter needs to be a yes, no. Perfect. So looking a little bit better. We've got some drop downs now. Definitely a lot nicer than the text fields. And then I'm going to hide this email column because it's the ID. I have to have it in the slice. So I can't just take it out of the slice. So I'll just uncheck that. But I don't know if that will hide it from anywhere else that I want it. If it does hide it from another view that I want to see that user email in, then I'll have to use a context expression to just hide it when it's in that filter detail view. Or it will just ignore my please and not hide at all. There we go. Did I uncheck the wrong email column, I wonder? Small cosmetic thing. It's not a big deal. Like I said, you can use the context expression to hide it if you want. But yes, so we have this dashboard coming together. And now kind of the last piece is to set up the actual part that filters your account data based on the selections here. I'm also realizing that I actually need another date filter, because I'm going to do kind of a date range. So a beginning and an end. And I only put one date in here for whatever reasons, just oversight as I was building this. So I'm going to change this a little bit. Last contact date start. Last contact date end. And so we'll have a start and an end date, and then if the date and the account falls in between the two dates that we select, that's when it'll be in the filter. I think that's what we want. But luckily, we're working on AppSheet, and so it's really easy to correct your own mistakes like that. So I'm going to go ahead and regenerate my structure of the users table to pick up those changes. Okay, so now I have 2, and I'm going to turn them both to dates. Okay, looks good. And then need to re-add them to my slice potentially. Okay, so they're both there. So I'm just going to save it. They're probably not quick edits anymore. Yep. So because I regenerated it, it took them off of the quick edit. I want this to be last in the column order. So I'm going to move it down. There we go. Okay, now we're in business. So as that loads up, I'm just going to go ahead and start on the actual filtering part, which is going to be an additional slice. But this slice is going to slice the accounts data. And so the row filter condition that I put into this slice will be what goes and looks at our filter and uses those values that you input as the user to filter the rest of the data. So I'm just going to call this filtered accounts and totally misspell. Here we go. At this point, I can kind of leave all this default. I'm not doing anything fancy, so I can just kind of go into writing my filter. And this is a part I've seen a lot of discussion about, even on the AppSheet community forums, whatever, is kind of how to write a filter expression like this. And one of our other consultants at Crew, he showed me this, and I think it's the best way to do it, especially when you have multiple filter criteria that you want to filter by, and it's essentially nesting a bunch of if expressions within a big and. And what that allows you to do is essentially return true if your filter is blank. So you could clear your filters and then see all the data, right? Whereas if you didn't set it up this way, what your expression would end up saying is equals blank. And so whenever you make your filter blank, it returns nothing because it's looking for a blank in that column. So doing it this way kind of allows you to clear your filter out, see everything, or select something in your filter and then use that value instead. If you have questions about that, feel free to ask. I feel like I kind of glossed over something that's a little bit complex. Definitely took me a while to wrap my head around. But the central format of it is this, and then I'm going to kind of repeat this if structure for each filter that I have. But I'm going to start it with is blank, and I'm going to check to see if my first filter, which is the account filter. So I'm going to look in my slice as the table name, and then account filter is the column name. Oh my goodness, that was just terrible. Yep. And if that is blank, then I want to return just the value true. If it's not blank, then I want to return the actual filter. So I want to return, see, I'm working in the accounts table, so I want where, see, I believe ID is what I have it as. Yeah. So ID equals any, and then I'm just going to actually copy this part right here because I'm going to reuse it, equals my account filter. So let's break that out a little bit. Let's check my parentheses. So this should close out that if. So I need one more. Perfect. So I'm getting an error because I only have one thing in my and. But that's the basic substructure, and I'm going to kind of repeat this same structure for each of my filters. but changing obviously which filter I'm looking at. So this first one was the account filter, and just to review it, I checked to see if this value in this account filter is blank. And if it was, then I'm having my if expression return true, which means that all accounts are going to go through. It's not going to do any filtering. If not, though, if it's not blank, then I'm going to match up the ID of the account. And so that's my card view down here. It's my list of rows to the ID that is stored in the account filter. Because if you recall, we made the account filter a ref to the accounts table. And so when you select a value, even though you see the label or the name of the account, it's actually storing the ID. And so that's what we want to match. And then we'll, like I said, kind of repeat the same structure for the other filters. So we're going to check to see if the ret filter is blank. If so, return true. If not, return where, let's see, count rep. Is that what I called it? I'm going to open my extension here so I don't have to keep clicking out. Yeah. Okay. So account rep. Let's see, why am I getting this error? Okay, there we go. And then I will just keep on in the same fashion. So I need 3 more. Okay, we did rep filter, and I'm just going to go down the list. Like I said before, if you have questions at this point, feel free to butt in and ask, because I'll be typing these out for a second. I'm actually going to have to change the expression for these dates a little bit. So for these two filters, the last contact, date start and date end, we're kind of setting up a date range. So it's actually not going to be a simple equivalency statement like the others. I'm actually checking to see if the date is either in front of or behind what I have in the date filter here. So I believe my column is called, we'll just look it up, last activity date. So I'm going to insert that both there and there. And I don't want equals, but I want to see if the last activity date is greater than, I'll do also or equal to, just to include the date that's selected, the start date. And then on this one, I want to do less than or equal to the end date. I believe that makes sense. I'm going to just double check. Got the logic the right way. Yeah, greater than the start date, less than the end date. So when you put 2 dates in here, it'll check the last activity date for that account. And kind of, if it's in between the dates that you select, then boom, you've got it there. And this is also an advantage to this kind of nested ifs within the and, because you can not use it, right? You can just put them both to blank, and then you've got all the dates, right? And it doesn't kind of throw off the rest of your filter. Oh no, what did I just do? Oh, I just destroyed my entire filter. That is disheartening. I accidentally clicked out of it. Sorry, everybody. That was definitely an oopsie on my part. Let me just redo it really quick. No. Life of a developer. See, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Last activity date. And then active filter. Almost there.
Have you got your start and end dates greater than, less than, right way around?
I've got them the right way around or the wrong way around. Let's see. Last context start date needs to be
Greater than.
No, because I want the date in the accounts to be greater than the first date that I select. It's the other way because I flipped the order. I had this column first when I wrote it the first time, and so it's just the way that I wrote it is backwards. I think this should be right because you want the date that you're looking for in your accounts to be in between the bookends. So yeah, that should be correct. And then this last one, active filter. Oh, this one's also different because it's a yes, no. I can just actually set it equal to that column. Sequence contains no elements. Unable to find table filter dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and save that. Dashboard filter. Very sad. Sorry about that, guys. Just gonna replace all these, and then I believe we should be in business. Last contact start date. Date start. Man, I was getting everything the wrong way around. All right, now hopefully, nope, does not have valid input types. It tells me my last activity date is not a date column. But it is a date column. Had it all working, and then it deleted. Then I deleted it. Okay. I think I have a paren off. I see. I copied these blank in. A dashboard. One too many.
I think that you have extra parentheses after last contact date start to the left. Underneath that line. Yeah.
Yep. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I wrote it exactly right the first time, and then the second time I just messed everything up. But this is kind of what the expression would look like. It kind of accounts for every filter condition that I have in my detail view set up here. And it's just these nested ifs within the and. And essentially what that allows you to do, I'm going to just save that, get all that locked in. And then I'm gonna take this accounts view and copy it and call it filtered accounts. And then I'm just gonna attach it to that slice that I just made and save it. And we'll see if the magic is working. I'm just gonna resize this a little bit. All right, let's see what we got. Apparently nothing. Oh, I don't have the filtered accounts in the dashboard view. Wrong view. So this is the view that's actually running off the filtered slice.
Do you need to turn on interactive mode?
I don't.
You
So
don't?
yeah. This is outside of the interactive dashboard.
Because you've got your own filters you've built.
Correct. And it allows for a lot of flexibility. The interactive dashboard is great, but this has the advantage of still being able to actually click into the rows, and see what's going on. Whereas on an interactive dashboard, I can't do that. So let's see. There we go. I'll refresh it on the big screen. Also, just behind the scenes look here. Whenever I input a filter, you'll see it kind of update this row on my user row. But you can see I've got this account selected and it shows that for me. Or if I want Adam's group, like so, or if I want to know all of the accounts that are my accounts, I select myself. And then if I'm gonna make this bigger again. If I clear this, then it goes back to showing you everything, which is what I was talking about with that ifs within the and gives you. And then let's try this. I don't actually know what any of the dates are. This is 0, so let's step it back a year. Okay. So this should be showing you all the accounts where the last contact date is in between these two dates that I selected. So that would be this column right here. And so again, this is just random dates between 2018 and today that I generated from Makaru. But kind of allows you to do the filtering that way. And then this active filter is based on the this active column. And so a lot of times in kind of apps that track sales data like this, some accounts you haven't touched again for a couple of years, right? And so they go inactive and you don't care about them. And so it's just a toggle and a different UI piece that I think is fun, where you can just kind of have this toggle, and it'll filter out everything that is not active, and so on. Another thing I should note, as you're seeing now, with this date picker, it's really helpful, but there's no clear option. So like when you select one here, you can go down to the bottom and hit clear. But with the date picker, you can't deselect, right? There's this unfortunate side effect of just this UI piece. So either you just have to expand your date range to be super wide, or you could put a button that's displayed prominently up here on this detail view. And so something I do a lot is I'll add buttons up at the top of the filter, and it would just go in and clear this, the clear date button, as a workaround for that. And then additionally, Jake brought up the interactive dashboard, which this is not an interactive dashboard. It's different. It's got your own custom filters. But just to give you some ideas of where you can go with it beyond just kind of the simple version, one, you can kind of add as many filters on this left here as you want. You can filter by any piece of data that you have in your data set. You can follow that same format as our slice that I broke and you watched me write for like 30 minutes. So hopefully you got it imprinted in your brain. You just follow the same structure, the same format, and for each filter that you want to be able to select, and that you have in your detail view. Obviously, as the case with the date and even this active column, depending on the way that you're doing the filtering, you might need to change, to a less than or greater than. A lot of people like having multi-selects. So rather than this being a single selection or an enum, what we could do is change this to an enum list, and then allow you to kind of check all three sales reps here, and then see any account that is associated with any three of them, or just two of them, and so on. And in that case, you would be using an in expression here rather than an equivalency statement. So this is our rep filter. So instead of does the account rep equal the value that is in the dashboard filter, you would check to see, is this value that I've selected in the filter in the list of account reps for this account. And so that in is another yes no expression that works with lists if you aren't familiar with it. So you can also do multi-selects, which I've seen a lot of people prefer to use for certain things. Again, it depends on your use case. And then additionally, one piece that you can do is you can actually combine the interactive dashboard setting with this. And so I could pull up another pane here that is related data to these accounts, and turn on interactive dashboard for this view. And then I could filter, my account data with my filter that I've created on the left, or even down to a single one that won't work when I have all these other filters on. And then instead of bringing me to the detail view when I select it, if I turn interactive dashboard on, it would display the detail view of this account in the third panel here. So you kind of have a dual system where you can select an account or subset of accounts, select this row, and then the detail views show up in the third pane that just imagine it is there. And so I did that the other day on a different project because it just made sense. I just needed to edit details of specific rows. And so you can kind of blend them. You can also have multiple panels of different things that all use the same filter. So I have a project that is kind of based around shifts. And I have like 4 different panels on the left here that are based on the client filter that would be the dashboard filter. And so it filters people that are assigned to that client. It's like a roster. It filters shifts that have to do with that client on the left. It filters things that are completed for that client, so not upcoming, but things that are in the past. And so there's kind of different views on the right that all use this one filter that I have set up on the left side. So there's a lot of flexibility with it. I see it, like I said, in almost every app that I work on. People just have a use for it because it's just an easy way to find what you need. And you can even give it some different UI pieces. And so I just brought this up as an example. But I have this dashboard set up where I just have buttons. And I had to do some weird things to get this to work. But essentially, I have it set up on a week system where I just select one of these 3 options and then what day it's on in this button format. And it filters kind of all my assignments based on that selection. And then again, if I deselect it, it only shows me for this client. So there's some different ways you can make it look as well. And I just wanted to show you all that. This is something that I had built out for a different project. But yeah, so that's kind of the end of the dashboard part. I don't know how are we doing on time, Clark? I don't remember what time we started.
We have about 5 minutes for questions.
Perfect.
So
yeah, absolutely. Then I will just pause there for questions, or feedback, or even just more information about how I've seen this feature used. But yeah.
And we'd love to take questions not only from the Zoom call, but we also have YouTube up. I have both chats open. So anybody that wants to ask CJ anything, now is your time.
Now's the time.
I don't think I've got any questions right now. There's a hell of a lot to digest. It's the first time I've seen it used like this with filters from another table. I think the use case is absolutely perfect for something I'm about to do in my app, which is just amazing. Thank you very much.
Good, Jake.
Sorry, I had my mic off there. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes,
Yes, sir. We can.
Yeah, just wanted to ask how you formatted the dashboard that you showed there for that client with the different colors across the header and things like that. So how is that done?
This one.
Yeah.
So which part were you asking about
Or
specifically?
just generally the color, the color on the header and
he's talking about brand.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go back to our demo app. So the color and stuff of kind of the app bar can be controlled mostly in this UX and brands
Okay.
menu.
Yeah.
And so if I pick a color, show view name and header, logo and header, and then make it like this, you can see I get my
Yeah, that's good. I just didn't use that myself. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's good to have a splash of color. It's very bland.
Absolutely.
But that's a good question. Thank you.
All right. Well, that looks like all the questions that we had. If you still have a question and we weren't able to get to it, please feel free to email us. I'll have my email here at the bottom of the presentation. And I'm going to go ahead and take over, CJ. So you should be seeing my screen now. And if you could mute Siege.
Yeah, I'm working on.
So thank you all for coming today. So glad that we could have CJ in today to show us some really cool features through dynamic dashboards. Again, we are appsheettraining.com, powered by CrewTech. If you like this webinar, if you wanted to join us again next week, I do have the link up at the top that will allow you to subscribe to that webinar notification list. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe bell button, those things are how we're able to make this free for everyone. It's how we're able to do this free of charge. So we want to make this resource available to anybody who needs it. If you do feel like you would like some more help with AppSheetTraining.com, we do have our AppSheet IQ and our on-demand video courses. These are going to be as I say every week, but these are going to be for people who are very, very new to AppSheet, who are interested in learning more about the things that you're able to do. It's generally going to be the basics of building different things, as well as if you're looking for some more help with an app that you're currently building. We do have consulting and enterprise training, and we also have development support. So if those are things that you're interested in or just have questions about, like I said, my email is right here at the bottom. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I did include this coupon code for appsheettraining.com, dynamic-UX. This is 15% off anything on appsheettraining.com, and it should be good for about a week. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you, CJ, for presenting. And we will see you guys next week. All right. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Ciao.